Hello and a very warm welcome to Channels Beam. I am Victor Matthias. What was created some years ago for friends to share joyous moments with family, friends, and even adversaries has now turned far more into what was less expected. Social media, viewed by many as a tool for sharing trivial updates, is now much bigger. I mean, so much big that corporate organizations, the media, and so many more sectors cannot separate it from their operations. But being in a political season, our focus on Channels Beam today is to look at the effect social media has on political campaigns. However, before we meet our social media experts waiting on the Google Plus Hangout to tell us more on that, let's take a look at what stories interested Nigerians in the past week. Presidential primaries. Political parties held conventions to choose candidates that will fly their flags during the 2015 presidential election. And in anxiety to find out whom the candidates are, Nigerians were glued to their search engines, hoping to find results as soon as they were announced. My watch. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo launched his much-talked-about autobiography, My Watch, in Lagos, but has been served with a contempt of court order due to judgment by a court in Abuja restraining him from releasing the publication into public domain. Now, those were the top searches, but not to keep our online contributors waiting. Let's catch up with them, but you also can be part of the conversation using the hashtag social media and elections.
I don't think that social media has made a clear big difference in how our political campaign are going, especially in this dispensation. A lot more politicians are using social media to communicate. The usual argument is that there are just 2 million Nigerians on Twitter and Facebook, and that the impact is not that far. I use myself as an example. I talk to friends, I talk to family members who don't use any of those social media. My twin brother doesn't use Twitter. He's barely on Facebook. But we talk a lot about things that are happening. So some of the information I gather off social media, I also share with people who are not online. So I think that social media, yes, it has reached a minor population, but the impact is enormous. We have seen it used for social causes that have led to changes. We have seen government change policies due to actions of people on social media. So yes, I think that it has made a difference in this dispensation, and on the final day, it will play a bigger role than we have seen already.
Actually, a lot of people don't used to, from my idea, a lot of people don't used to know very much of what is happening in our political arena. But with the development of the social media, a lot more people are getting involved. And with the internet being easily accessed from any part of Nigeria where you are, even any part of the world in general, people are making more input and they are being influenced by what is said in the social media. Although I have my reservations in some of the approach a lot of people take, because I look out for where people will make more constructive criticism, of what is happening in order to help our political condition in the country to improve. And I find I don't really appreciate how some people go about it. But in general, social media is really helping. It's helping, and the informations are getting to the right audience. And I think it's having great impact in our political situation in Nigeria right now.
Politicians, in their campaign strategy should not focus solely on one and leave out the other. What we see oftentimes is this. Most politicians might want to focus on social media, but then they seem not to, to consider the fact that most often, although the tide is changing now, most young people that are hugely vocal on social media, they don't vote at the grassroots level, and that's the sad thing. So what I always advise, if I'm giving recommendations, is this: you can come on social media to campaign, as part of your political strategy. But what you gain from there is name recognition. I always say that. You get what is called name recognition, but you don't get actual votes. Because at the end of the day, even if you've paid people, online influencers to talk about you on social media, at the end of the day, sadly, we still have the stomach infrastructure problem at the local level. And those are the people that vote. Those are the people that would rather stay under the sun and under the rain to make sure that they vote as an appreciation of the bag of salt or the bag of rice they got a night before the election. So if you are doing your political strategy and you're focusing on social media, yes, what would happen is everybody will get to know you. Everybody will get to know that you are actually coming out for this particular electoral position or office. But at the end of the day, you will not be able to get the votes that you're actually canvassing for. And then secondly, another thing I also suggest is coming on social media is also a way of sort of protecting your votes, in the sense that if you already get that name recognition that you sought for, if your objectives were clear from day one on social media, what happens is this: when the actual election is going on, we have a lot of citizen observers these days who are actually in the field monitoring what is happening, or those actually went to vote. So somehow, if they see things going out of way, probably they see rigging or ballot snatching or things that are actually against the electoral law, they post this update on social media. And if people are already aware of you, via name recognition on social media, it's easy for them to escalate this conversation and oftentimes even blow it out of proportion. So you cannot focus on one and ignore the other.
Political campaigns are actually a means of mobilizing support or persuasion used in persuading or pushing for a particular idea, political idea or ideology, when you have especially the political actors coming together to debate on issues. But that is lacking in our country. It's usually one-sided, just like Blossom had mentioned earlier. You only see possibly a particular politician making use of the platform when the other one is not making use of the platform. It creates this unbalanced and one-sided campaigns, and that is not even debated. Politicians do make statements that we know will be very difficult to implement in terms of what we have on ground. But then the social media doesn't take it up, and the opponents do not take it up, or the masses, because they will never want to. The people that are on social platforms don't engage them on those ideas to debate how possible those ideas would be executed. I think that is an area where social media is just trying to improve people's image, which I think that's sometimes what they want to do, and that doesn't change anything on ground in terms of how people would vote at the end. Rather, sometimes they use it for other selfish benefits and religious bigotry, pushing of ethnicism and all that.
But the good thing about social media is that it's self-correcting. As soon as you post a false information, as soon as one person with the right information sees it, is so very quick to correct that impression. So I don't think that we should all look at the negative. Yeah, there has been very, 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 very low moments of social media where outright falsehood has been, sent out. But there has also been very good moments where, as soon as those falsehoods are pushed out, people are all on out. And I agree with Akachukwu when he said people are pushing religious and tribal sentiment. Look, when this whole season started, at one point in our lives, all we discussed was religion and tribe. Not just people on social media, not just people, even the candidates themselves spent more time talking about religion and tribe than talking about, I don't have electricity in my house as we speak. The road to my house is bad. There's no water, right? Those are the things that will interest me and interest almost every other person on this platform at the moment. But we spend more time talking about Amibu. Blossom is Hausa. I'm not going to vote Blossom's candidate. As in, how does it improve the electricity in Blossom's house or electricity in my own house?
Like Stanley said, they are lobbyists and they are political strategists that they are being paid to push out information that would champion the cause of their preferred candidate. But I always insist on, even if you are paid to do something, always stand for the truth, because I don't know how to fix this. They are professionals, so they know how to go about it and whitewash, even when they are saying half truths. But on an individual basis, what I see a lot of young Nigerians do is they just receive payments to champion the cause of a candidate, and they just push it out. They don't question, because they feel that they've been paid to do this. So they just go ahead and push it out the way that they have been instructed to push it out. There's this group led by some guys in the UK, some Nigerians, for the future. Sometime early this year, they ran this online poll about the outcome of the APC presidential primary. And I was just going through their result, because some few days ago, immediately after the primaries, actually, they posted their result. And lo and behold, it was actually exactly what they got as a result. That was the result at the APC primaries. But I wouldn't be quick to just attribute that to social media, because they expanded it a bit. They used text messages as well to get their opinion poll, and the scope of the poll was actually quite huge. I know NOI polls, their scope is 1,000, but I think they exceeded that 1,000 limit. And it's, at the end of the day, their findings tallied with exactly what the presidential, the APC delegates put out at the end of the day. So we're getting to that stage where it might be easy to believe that the findings on social media as regards the viability of a particular candidate can actually play out in real life.
The day that I really would see the biggest impact of social media is on voting day, actually. On voting day, I know we have been briefed a bit on what the situation room will do, how it will collate live reports from all sorts of location. I also know that the police is doing something very similar. They want to monitor security situation using social media. I also have been privileged to meet with officials from Facebook, and they're activating a particular feature for Nigeria ahead of this election. It will be announced officially sometime in January, to also help monitor trends and predict the way the election. They have the detail. I'm not in a position to disclose, but they are going to activate a particular feature ahead of this election. It will be the first time they will be activating that election feature in any country in Africa. The elections are not won on social media. And I totally agree with what Blossom said. The elections are not won on social media. And you know that social media is about every Nigerian who has access to the internet, especially those abroad, right? So, and who don't have a voter's card, who don't have any role to play as I talk. So I totally agree that the election can and won't be won on social media. But what will happen is that social media will influence. I'm not saying an election will be won. I'm specific about the influence of social media on election.
Well, interesting conversation there. However, we see your contributions coming, but keep them coming using the hashtag social media and elections. Time for a break, after which we will be joined by Najib Bello.